Okay. So for everybody who doesn't know me, I'm Courtney Clarke. I'm with Summa Real Estate Group out of Bethany. I've been with Summa actually this month was my third year in the real estate business. But prior to that, I think the reason why these guys actually asked me to teach the sphere of influence class is because I've kind of come from the multi-level marketing industry, which is a very hard industry if you don't work it. And it's very similar to real estate. People kind of, scoff at that a little bit, like real estate is this, kind of upper echelon of marketing businesses or sales businesses. And that's because we get paid a lot of money to deal with craziness and to deal with contracts and things that are very, very expensive for most people. It's their largest fiduciary or largest real estate transaction or money transaction that they do. But the ins and outs of the business, multi-level marketing, is the exact same. You've got to start with a friend or start with a family member and then grow from there. And hopefully you can get away from your family members eventually, not literally, but get away from them when it comes to sales, because, nobody wants to have to keep going back to their family members and go, can you buy more candles from me? Or can you buy more lipstick from me? Or can you buy, So, and we don't have a consumable product, right? As real estate agents, right? We don't have a consumable product in the way that, makeup, Avon lady goes through their makeup and then you have to come back to them and buy more. However, we do have a product that once every 3 to 5 years, once every 5 to 7 years, people do usually not stay in one house. So if you're starting out with first-time home buyers, then eventually your sphere will grow because they will, if you do a kick-ass job for them, they're going to come back to you, right? So 5 to 7 years down the road or 3 to 5 years down the road, they're going to come back and go, this isn't our forever house. You did such a great job. We got $100,000 or $150,000 in equity. Now can you help sell us another house, $500,000 house. So now all of a sudden you've grown that commission. The bottom line here is that when you grow that commission, that started with a sphere. You had to start somewhere, right? But so now that sphere just keeps growing and growing and growing, and you don't have to go back, and you can nurture it with a phone call here and there, but you don't have to be this constant drip. So I passed out this packet. It's kind of a mess. All the staples go in different directions. That's because that cute little thing that's out there in the hallway that came in with me earlier did it. And it was pretty funny yesterday. But that's why I did not staple them. Just so you know, I can staple things, without it being crooked. Okay, so the very first top page here is just the seven levels of communication. It's a communication pyramid. Something that I used to do when I was in sales, in multi-level marketing, and something I still do, is you'll notice at the very, very bottom of the pyramid is the informational zone. That's where you advertise. That's advertising, direct mailers, electronic communication. That can kind of go into social media, but social media is kind of more of a one-on-one. It's a billboard that you can interact with somebody on, so it's not really the electronic communication. I think they mean more emailing, email campaigns, etc. Those are just the informational zone. Those are places where you drip on people. That is not your sphere. I mean, it is your sphere, but your sphere is different, the one that we're going to talk about, your sphere of influence. And then you get up here to the influential zone, and you've got handwritten notes right in between. Those are really nice touches when you're trying to get a hold of people. And then at the very, very top, you got one-on-one meetings, events, and seminars, and phone calls. I think Marcus touched on that really quickly at the very end there, where people, if you're not going to one-on-one events or you're not picking up the phone and calling people, you're not going to be in business. So that's what this whole thing is about, really, is the sphere of influence. You want to be able to stay in business, right? So what we're going to do is go over those people. The next page is, again, the same thing, but we're talking about just different types of prospecting, where you can get clients from. And, I mean, this goes into telemarketing, FSBOs, just listed, past solds, These are just flyers. These are different things. And then I've got face-to-face broken down into prospecting, which again is door-to-door canvassing. Again, these are kind of outside of your sphere, but these are just extra ideas for you to be able to go back to. Over here in marketing, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm just writing this list so that you guys will remember it. Okay, so this last page, what I'm going to do here is, this is called a Mets. So these are different people that you've met, right? It's pretty easy, and you're going to say, Courtney, you're not teaching us anything we didn't know. But truly, I think a lot of times people get stuck in the weeds and they forget that they do know all of these people. So I actually didn't print up a memory jogger. I'm going to put it up here in a few minutes. But what I was hoping that you guys could do is, I know it's kind of a small little circle here where, you know, the set of circles. But what I want you to do is write a bunch of things about you. Anything and everything. And what I want you guys to do is, if you like golf, I want you to put golf down. I don't want to suggest a lot of things, but I'm going to give you guys like 5 minutes to sit here and write down things that make you you. You like gaming, you like computers, you're a movie hound, you're a wine connoisseur, you know, just different things. Do you like to golf? Where do you golf? All of these things, and just write them down. I know it's not a lot of space, but I want this to be about you and that your likes and particular needs and that kind of thing. And then I'll tell you why I'm going to do that here in a second. Okay, so with this list of like things about you, why don't you guys go around the room and just shout out a couple of things as I go down the thing of ideas that you came up with for you.
Family, fitness.
Okay.
I got yoga, Italian, wine, hiking, kids, squash.
I love it. Squash. That's a good one. I was never good at it, but too much running, too much activity for me.
I like coffee and books.
Book clubs, right? Okay, Miss Kristen, I know you're not really participating, but
I didn't, but I could. You want me to tell you how?
Yeah.
Shopping,
okay.
camping. My daughter. Yeah. Glamping. No, well, not with marshmallows anymore.
So I put gaming, fitness, magic, dragons, hobby stuff, because I do crafting stuff.
Yeah.
Superheroes, kids, church, books.
Love it.
Everything.
Pretty much everything.
It's everything that I wrote.
Your whole life looks like.
I love it.
Let's see, travel, cooking, wine tasting, reading.
Yeah, I like it. And then IPAs. And
I had golf, live music, IPAs, kayaking, fishing, and I love a good cup of coffee.
And you like the naked bike riding.
obviously.
That's
I like the concept of it.
This is on video.
That's right.
That's funny. Okay. So these outside circles outside of you, right, where it says you and all these ideas you guys just came up with, these now, what I want you to do is, using these ideas about yourself, I want you to basically start putting groups down that have to do with that. So, for example, you said you like, wine or, wine groups. Well, you go to a lot of events, right, where you might be pouring or serving, or I can't remember who said that they like books. Tiana, right? Okay, so book club, right? If you started having a book club every single week, utilizing the things you like, you can start with that sphere of influence. So if you're a golfer, let's say, he's a golfer, the golf club that he frequents, you naturally start to have nice conversations with these people, or you may golf with them often. Great way of getting new business, right? So why don't you guys go ahead and start writing down groups. People who wrote family, obvious. Family you can write here. And then we're going to get into who you might target out of those groups on the exterior. And then I'm going to, actually, while you're doing that, I'm going to put up the memory jogger. Because I think you guys might help. Okay. Now, the thing is, I don't know if you guys can read this clearly. And just so you know, this memory jogger, it did not print up, but we have it on our Summa Basecamp. So you can find this. And it's just, I mean, you know, when you read this, you kind of say to yourself, like, these things are so obvious, right? These are things that I already know. But a lot of times you forget that you already know these people, or you forget to call them. And also something, when I was selling candles, I worked for a company called Party Light. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Party Light candles, but I made six-figure income working in selling candles. So I am telling you right now, if you have fear over calling people, or you have fear over talking to people, you got to get over it when you're selling multi-level marketing, and you got to get over it in the real estate world, right? I used to tell my crew, you know, my units, feel the fear and then do it anyway. You know, just pick up the phone. And the fact is, you really have to be able to do that to sell $6 candles and make $100,000 a year. Now let's, you know, go a little bit broader, a little bit bigger than that. You're selling now $100,000 in houses, $1 million houses, and you have to be able to say, you know what? I know somebody. Who can I start with? And I used to have a lot of people. What would be the reasoning for not calling? Just, you know, if you were going to call somebody, what would be your reasoning for not calling a friend or a family member?
Having them think I'm using them.
So that is something a lot of people will think. And how about you? What would be maybe a fear that you might have calling a friend or a family member about selling their real estate or their real estate?
I don't know.
You don't
I
know?
have no fears. The family and friends?
Yeah.
No. I mean,
See, that's great.
I mean, a stranger maybe, you know, interrupting their lunches, or I don't need this, you know, but being treated badly. But family and friends, I expect them to be somewhat.
That's great.
Yeah, see, and you know, I mean, most of the time that those things are genuine fears that, you know, a lot of people have. I mean, you know, calling your friends and family, you know, the other thing is a lot of times, I mean, if you go on my Facebook, my social media, right, my own personal wall, there's things I probably have said to people that maybe would have offended them, or things that I've done, and going back to my friends and family, and my friends and family saying to me, yeah, I've seen you before out in the real world. Why would I let you sell my house?
Exactly. That's a huge fear. That is a huge fear.
It is, I
Oh,
understand.
yeah, that is my big fear.
But you just have to know that they really do want to help you. And they really do believe in you. And they really do. I mean, I'm telling you, my very first client in the business was my best friend. And trust me, I'm pretty positive. I have no idea why she let me sell her a $500,000 house like my first week. I mean, I swear, looking back, I was like, I was a fish out of water. I mean, and somebody just threw me in the deep end and said, all right, go sell a house. And I was like, okay. I mean, but you just have to do it, because once you do it, you're like, you know what, that wasn't that hard. It was actually kind of fun, and it was easy. And you know what, I did a really good job for them. And you know what? I made my best friend $120,000 in a year and a half. I mean, that's pretty good money. So if you look at it like that, cash on cash, I made her a lot of money. So the fact is that's what you have to keep your eyes on, is the fact that you're not using them, or you know, they need you. They need you. They can't buy a house without you. They need you, not anybody else. So what I want you guys to do is maybe look up here on this list, and if you guys can see, I'm so sorry I didn't print this up. If you guys can see these, why don't you guys I want to go around the room and see if you guys can just name and mention a couple of things that you may have forgotten out of this top two here. Your address book and, relatives. Go ahead and just yell out who, Yeah.
Teachers.
Teachers.
Since I just got out of school, I still have connection with a
Yep.
lot of teachers that are in Eugene and Portland.
Yep, absolutely.
My mother-in-law, who's a retired agent.
That is a fantastic wealth of knowledge right there, and resources. Retired, doesn't want the business anymore. She's got tons of business, I can promise. So, have you called her?
Yes.
Yeah. And have you asked her
No.
for the business? That's what you got to do next. If I had homework for all of you guys, if this wasn't the last one, I would make you guys all do that and come back and tell me. Which up here had you seen that you hadn't really thought of?
Oh, what I haven't thought about?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. In the beginning, you're talking
The first two.
The first
Yeah,
two?
the first two.
Okay. It's not that I have a lot of families here, so.
That's okay. Have you
Many.
have you
By
called
neighborhood.
any of these people, coworkers?
Yeah, co-workers. I mean, it's not that I didn't think about them. I'm gonna contact them. I just didn't.
You haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our
You know-
neighbors. I never thought about our neighbors really.
Yeah. See,
That's
they're-
your easiest market right there.
Exactly. They know
Yeah.
you. They,
Yeah.
you know, get a sign in the
Yeah.
ground in
Really?
your neighborhood, and it's done for you. You know, everybody will be coming to you. They'll be calling you. You got to get your name. I'm sure you guys took Tim Horst's class at the very beginning, right? I'm almost 100%. I wasn't here, but he probably said something like, "Get your sign in the ground. If you're not with signs in the ground, you're a secret agent. Nobody knows who you are. Don't be a secret agent. Get your name in lights. So, you know, call your neighbors. Get a listing." So, how about for you, TL? In fact, let's go to this is my favorite list right here. This one right here. I just think there's so much on here that everybody thinks, oh, I don't know anybody, but you know so many people. So why don't you point one out that you think I didn't think of?
You know, I'm such a loud mouth. I feel like I told even the lady who was doing my pedicure yesterday.
Good. Good for you.
I really do talk to a lot of people. Like I even talk to the people at the coffee shop and the mailman. Because
That's good.
I say hi to everybody. My dentist employees. I didn't go in there for a while.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to my veterinarian.
Yep.
I do have 2 dogs.
There
that
you
I
go.
take care of
See?
pretty frequently.
Well, but see, these are the kind of things that I don't, you know, I know Tyler also does, what are they called? You know, not the Architectural Digest, but it's like one of those magazines that looks like a nice professional magazine. It's got his picture on it and stuff. But those are kind of places where you go, hey, you guys, I didn't know if you knew I was selling real estate, and also can I drop off a couple of these just to sit in your waiting room and, you know, people can peruse them, you know.
It's all about subliminally brainwashing them without them knowing it.
Kind of. Oh, just like if you have flyers, or if you have a magazine. In this case, he has a magazine that he invests. You know, how much does that magazine cost, Tyler?
It was, I think. I mean, you have to buy a bundle at a time.
Right.
It's probably
6 months at a time.
yeah, 6 months at a time, probably $200 maybe.
Yeah.
And your name is on it?
Yeah, your
What-
name
what
on it, your
magazine
name,
is
your
it?
picture. It's American Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just gives you recipes and all that, and it's not about real estate at all, but it gets your name in there, you know, in front of them and everything. So
But it's great for stuff like for doctors' offices
So
and
what
that
do
kind
you
of
do if
stuff.
you don't have that and you've got a vet or whatever? I mean,
Well, everybody's got something, somewhere they go. For example, she mentioned manicure, right? Okay, so on here it's like your manicurist or your pedicurist or whatnot, your nail lady. Well, here, yeah, I mean, I went in fact, I know Tyler went into his like tanning place, right?
tanning place.
Seriously.
All right, I'm stopping the video.
Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah, I have cards at the hair salon, the tanning salon, 3 lube shops,
how do
and
you leave your cards there? Just can I leave? my
oh,
cards?
I'm just aggressive. I just hand them to them after, be like, hey, if you ever feel the need, just give me a call.
Yeah.
So well, I'm kidding though. Going there. I establish relationships with the people there. I always just talk to them and ask them how their day is going, and then I don't do it right away. But after 3 or 4 trips there, I'll drop that I'm in real estate, and they'll let me put my cards there. So I have my cards always at 5 places at a given time. So just in case.
And this is what I was gonna say is this. So people would say, I don't know these people well enough, blah, blah, blah. But I have a nail lady, her name's Kim. I've been going to her for about 10 years. I love Kim. I'm sure her Vietnamese name isn't Kim, but her American English name is Kim. I'm just kidding. She's lovely, and she knows I'm in real estate, and she always calls me and says, "Hey, Courtney, I have a question. My neighbor's house is blah blah blah. It just sold. Can you go look it up?" And I'm like, "Oh, let me go see. It's not closed yet. I'll keep an eye on it. Let you know." And the reason I do that is because eventually, I mean, she's obviously calling me when it comes to real estate because she remembers that I'm doing that. So eventually that'll pay off. She has $1 million house up in 4 sites. Yes, my nail lady lives in $1 million house. Okay. So, but here's the point. How much do nails cost? For all you men out there,
Too much.
beauty costs money.
$30.
$25.
$25 a pop. How often?
Once every month, once a month.
Once a month, okay, that's $2,500. Or in this case, you would talk about once a month.
Yeah.
In your case, it might be $400 a year, but if over 10 years, that's $4,000, right? In my case, I easily drop $100 every single time I go into the nail place. I'm like, yeah, give me a massage. Yeah, give me this. Yeah, sure, whatever. And I do that every 2 weeks.
Yeah, change the air filter.
Right, exactly. But think about this. If I've been going to Kim for 10 years, right, and I have been spending $200 to $250 a month with her for all of this time, I've easily spent almost $30,000 with her. Is that worth it to her to spend money with me? Yeah. I don't care if the transaction level isn't the same. Overall, the money's the same. So if she is going to go buy a house from somebody else, fine, then I'm not spending money with you anymore. So that's not going to, and that wouldn't happen, but I'm just saying is, you got to remember that you are important to these people. You do spend a lot of money with them. And they should spend money with you in the real estate world. So
That's a really good point too, because you don't think about, I'm giving you money.
yeah.
You usually think, I talked to my hairdresser the other day when I was there, and I thought to myself, why wouldn't I? I give you so much money.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
She
beauty
goes,
costs
I'll put your
money.
cards on my station. Absolutely. She didn't even think twice about it.
Yep.
I give out her cards.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. I mean, you have to remember that you're just as important as that person that you do business with. It should be, there should be some reciprocity to how you do business with people, right? And it should be one of those things where you should be able to say, hey, you know what? Can't I just leave my business cards with you? Because what's going to happen is one day those cards are going to be sitting there, and that one person is going to walk in and say, I've been looking. I despise the real estate agent that I found on Redfin, or I'm not teasing Redfin, by the way, but and they might also come in and say, we've been thinking about selling our house, or gosh, I'm going through a divorce and now I need to sell the house. And I don't, oh my gosh, you know what? Here, I've got so-and-so's card right here. So you just have to be able to set that up. Sorry, I don't know what my son wants, but he looks like he's checking out my class here.
Okay.
Okay, so
Cookie.
what?
Give him a cookie.
Oh, he can't have any.
Oh.
No.
No, he's got celiac.
Oh.
Service, I know. Okay, so
Give
now
him some champagne.
he'd probably say yes. No. Okay, so now we're going to get down here to the other end of the table because I never quite make it this far. But out of this next set of lists, I know someone who is or I know someone that. Why don't you guys just call out a couple of things that down here at the end of the table that you guys see? Chiropractor. That's an expensive set of
bowling with you?
things. What about who else?
Electrician, contractor, welder.
Yeah, and we should know these people too because we do a lot of stuff that has to do with this in business. But for example, let's see. I know someone who cuts my grass. Well, I do know someone who cuts my grass. It was my landscaper, and he was my third listing and sale. And again, landscaper who lived in a really nice house in Woodburn and wanted to move up here to move into a really nice house. And already 2.5 years later, he's already called me and said, hey, Daisy and I would like to talk about selling this and buying something else. So, the point is my landscaper I spent a lot of money with over the years, but it's going to eventually become 4 transactions, maybe someday 5, 6. Then his kids are going to get older, and that's really once you hit that compound interest of your sphere, you still have to work hard. Don't get me wrong, but you just have to work hard but less hard. You know, I mean, it's easier, and it makes it a lot easier. And multi-level marketing is 100% like that too. You know, when I used to sell Party Light, like I had to go to my six most best friends in the world, and oh gosh, it was terrible. Like, oh, I have to call these people and ask them if they want to host a party in their house to get free stuff, and so I can start my business. And it was terrible. I mean, I remember like just having to pick up the phone and like, they're gonna think this is crazy. I'm selling candles, you know. And then everybody, oh my gosh, I love Party Light. I'll totally host a show for you. I'm like, you will? So I filled up my calendar, and you know what? Every once in a while, I had a couple of friends who would come back to me and go, I ran out of candles. Can you do a party? So we would kind of have an annual party date. But for the most part, I didn't have to go back to those people, because all of a sudden, I was at a party that somebody brought Tiana, and then Tiana did my show, and then I showed up, and then Tiana's friends were there, and then and next thing you know, I didn't ever have to come back to them. So, you know, your sphere is so important to you. So anyway, okay, back to the other thing. And just so you know, like, does anybody have any other questions about this list or how to find it online?
Does anybody want a mimosa again?
No.
We're doing refills. All right, Laura's.
You can do a little teeny tiny for me. After, I'm not
Senior University bartender.
exactly.
The Cabana boy.
It's basically the 4th of July already.
It is. Basically.
So how far have you guys gotten on your circles? Have you guys gotten a chance to start filling this in? I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to fill this in. And then once you fill this in, like let's say it says family, then I would like you to just list people that you haven't thought of, your cousins. I can't sell to my cousins because they're all real estate agents. So.
Did you tell him Tyler's your cousin?
So Tyler's my cousin, and then my other cousin Michael is also a real estate agent.
We have another cousin from my other side coming on board.
He's going to cut lunch with mortgage lenders, title reps. You know, really getting to know the business and the industry, and using your networking skills. Because what's going to happen is you're going to go to lunch with a lender, and they're going to want your business, so they're going to throw you a piece of business because they want your business. And you know, you can get some good gigs out of that. You know, why not? What $40 investment for lunch with somebody to maybe potentially make $7,000 or $10,000 or so. I think it's worth it. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to fill in these names, and then the hardest part of this whole class over here is going to be 5 reasons to do business with you. People always have a hard time complimenting themselves, but we'll get to that in a second. In your mind, when you go and somebody asks you, so, you're a real estate agent, how's real estate? How's the real estate market? What do you think you guys should say? Or how do you usually respond?
Exciting.
Okay, and then somebody says, hey, you're real estate. How is real estate going? How is the real estate market?
Well, it's going really good this month, you know, and maybe throw in some numbers.
Yeah, okay.
I say it depends. That's what we learned at one of the classes, and it really worked. It really worked. I mean, I had the nail lady doing my nails, and she asked me, how's real estate going? And I said, it depends. And she threw in, hey, I just got divorced, and I had to give up my house, and then it turned into a whole conversation over an hour-long pedicure, which was really nice because I got an extra.
It depends.
Yeah. And then I ended up getting a longer massage. She's like, yeah.
We're done studying all this.
It was
I am
Yeah, don't
so
say it's
glad that
great.
Tiana was listening the other day.
Answer it in a way that'll
I
create
am
a
an avid
conversation.
note taker, and I use my Sharpie in write big bold letters so I remember. And I was like, it depends. Yes, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
And it really does work. It opens.
I would never think that would work.
I'm so glad that she said that, because that is actually it is a amazing approach to getting people to respond back, because everybody wants to know how the real estate market is, but everybody answers, great, it's really awesome this month. Oh,
It's like
great.
saying you're fine when someone
Yeah.
says how are you.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost. But you know, here's the deal: when you say it depends, I go, what? Why does it depend?
Yeah.
Because their
Well, what do you-
automatic assumption is that it's great, so they want to know why you think it depends. And now you're going to say to them, well, it depends. I mean, are you a seller or are you a buyer?
Yeah. Right.
Because if you're a seller, you're going to love life. If you're a buyer right now,
Yeah.
it stinks. And then now you have an open-ended conversation with them about real estate, and it's going to make all the difference. So truly using your sphere to answer like that is going to help you. Another approach too in the very beginning with my friends, and I just throwing this out there, and I did it with a couple of my friends. They ended up turning into sales. I said, hey, can I set you up with like a profile on our MLS, a prospecting profile? It's just for fun, totally like not, I don't really think you're gonna buy a house. I just, whatever. Can you tell me a couple of parameters that you would like? I'm practicing with it. I'll set it up. And if you don't mind, I mean, if you don't want it anymore in a month, just disconnect it or whatever. But I'm just trying to get used to the system. Every one of my friends is like, sure, okay. And I'm like, all right, if you could have any house in the world, what area would you want to be in? What would you? And I would send them these profiles, these fake houses. I mean, they weren't fake houses; they were real listings. And I had a girlfriend who's like, she's still on the fence 3 years later. Like, every once in a while she'll call me and go, oh my gosh, did you see that listing today that you sent me? And I'm like, oh yeah, I did. Isn't it great? And then I haven't seen it yet, but I go on and look. And she's always like, can we go see it? It's vacant, right? Can we go see it this weekend or whatever? I'm like, sure. But the thing is, I know eventually she's gonna fall in love with something that I didn't even mean to sell her. And in fact, when I took 3 years later, every 6 months they go away, the prospecting profiles expire. And one day she calls me and goes, why am I not getting listings anymore from you? And I'm like, oh, you're not? Sorry, they just automatically expire. Well, set it back up. Because she loved looking at these houses. And so the fact is, it's like, you're still like, just in their daily mind that way. Then even if you're not selling them a house, they're going to have somebody who might say something to them and they go, oh my gosh, I saw the perfect house for you today. My friend sent it to me. Here, I'll have her call you. Whatever. So anyways, okay, so 5 reasons to do business with you. I want you guys to come up with 5 things that make you fantastic salespeople. Even if you haven't sold a house yet, you've sold something. Everybody in this room has sold something, even if you've never sold anything. What I mean by this is, you're an apple lover. You'll sell apple to everybody. You are a Keurig lover, let's say, an espresso lover, a Starbucks lover, whatever your favorite restaurant is. You sell every day to everybody, right? You just don't realize you're selling because you like that product so much, or you like that so much that But everybody sells everything. So what makes you guys great salespeople? 5 things. I'm not going to give you guys any examples because it tends to skew. You write down what I say. Yeah, that's a good one. Great sense of humor. Humor goes a long ways.
Did you just call her son a player?
Yeah, so what's up, player?
He's okay with that. He wants to be a player.
Which basketball camp is he in right now?
They smell good.
Team Fly, which is out in the facility, the practice facility over off Southwest 72nd.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
It's freaking awesome. The best.
Big baller.
He is a baller. But he's got allergies and it's been making him cough lately. Cough and
Allergies are bad
sneeze.
this year.
Really bad. You can write 10 things if you want.
The other day.
You can
Better
write
looking than
15
Tyler
things.
That's impossible. So
More handsome, cleaner jawline than Tyler Lord.
That's a good thing.
with a beard like that, I mean, I don't know how you could even think about saying such a thing.
Oh,
He's
this
got
like
to keep it covered up. So that he
it's
doesn't-
fantastic. We live together as well, so
Yeah,
You too?
yeah, never really no. Me and-
I
me
don't
and
see him.
That guy.
That guy over there. Elevator speech that covers one thing. I want you guys to kind of just come up with, just write it down, because when you write it down, it makes it a lot easier to think of when you have to think of it. But like I said, how's real estate? It depends, right? So now I want you guys to come up with an elevator pitch. And what I mean by that is when people, what do you do for a living? You know, I want you guys to come up with, like, as quickly, sorry, what?
Did you come up with mine?
I actually have pulled up my elevator speech from when I was at TechCore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanna hear
we're
it.
Now?
Yeah.
All right, you're on video.
All right.
You're
Your
on the
video's
spot.
on video.
There's no
So
way that
meta.
everybody can see this, so we'll
Here.
just kind of do
Do
this.
you want me to connect it? Here.
Oh boy. Okay.
Like you did a video?
Here. You better be.
Oh, you did a video?
Elevator pitch. It's kind of, it's classic to you, and it doesn't have to be like super fancy or anything like that, but something that, like, if I was to say, oh, you sell real estate? Why did you get into real estate? I want you to be able to answer that person without having to say, you know, I don't know why.
Or it's more
Right.
like, how is real estate going?
Yeah.
That is the classic question.
Yeah, yeah, and it's going really good for like 10% of the brokers, right? I mean, if you want it to go good for you, you know? So the fact is like you need to be able to just smash that answer the second they ask it, you know? How's real estate going? You're in real estate, why did you do that? You know, everybody, like I ask people all the time, why did you get into that? Or why did you start this? Or why did you go to school for that, you know? And people always kind of have the same answer to everything. And so if you ask a lot of real estate agents, why did you get into real estate? I love looking at houses. That is not what this business is about. This business is about connecting people, being a therapist, being sometimes a babysitter when, they bring their kid and their kid's acting crazy and you're like, here, you guys go, I'll take care of the kid.
Exactly.
Your marriage counselor, you're a contract person, you have to be articulate, you have to be educated in things, you have to have product knowledge, you have to know about what style houses are, all these things. Basically, I mean, you got to be able to measure square footage, you have to be a mathematician, you have to, so this business is really about keeping transactions together, getting along with co-op brokers, and it's not about whether or not a house looks pretty or not, right? I mean, sometimes it is if it's your listing. But, so I just want you guys to write down, quickly, just like your elevator pitch. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes to do that, and then I'm going to make you guys all say it out loud.
Hey!
And you have to say
Move on for the summer, right? The really great way that I used to do stuff when I'd call for, like in the beginning of this business, also in the MLM business, I would usually pick up the phone, even if it was a friend I hadn't talked to in, let's say, 3 years or a couple of years or 10 years or whatever. I would just call and say, oh my gosh, it's Courtney Clarke, oh my gosh, what have you been up to? What are you doing? Why are you calling me? Like, I just missed you. I was like sitting here, and I usually would say, I was thinking about blah, like maybe a time that you had fun or you went to lunch or remember that crazy time, and I just was talking to somebody about it, and made me laugh, and I thought, I should call you. And then what happens is that conversation naturally will get into what are you up to these days. And so people always like talking about themselves, right? So this is your practical solution would be to say, hey, what are you up to these days? Now they're going to tell you everything. They want to tell you like they got married, they got a job, their promotion, their whatever. And you're going to talk about that, and then naturally they're going to ask you, what are you up to these days? And now you have an easy in, right? You're going to say, I'm actually selling real estate. Oh my gosh, how long have you been doing that? Well, not long, but I'm kicking ass, And they're going to go, well, of course you are. That's great, or whatever. And you're going to allow that conversation to go however you want it to, but you don't have to call them and say, I want to sell your house. I mean, you don't have to say that,
It's not awkward.
It's totally not. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, that's why people always are worried that they're going to come across as being needy or annoying or all this stuff, but you don't have to make it that way. That's why start with your sphere. I basically, in the last year, I mean, I really don't. I back into deals more now. Like they're old clients or friends of friends that I already worked with, or referrals. And you know, sometimes you still go through months where that's why you always have to be working, right? But you go through months where you have like 3 months of lag time, maybe. But then all of a sudden you have like 6 months of just booming, business, and then you go back. So you don't want to get stuck in the doldrums. And this is the easiest way. Your warm list. Call them, ask for the business, but you don't have to be, hey, it's Courtney, you have a house for me to sell, you know? At the end of the conversation, you could say, hey, by the way, would you mind if I stop by your house or something, can I give you 5 of my business cards, or would you pass them out for me? Or, hey, how about we go to lunch? And then at lunch, that's what you ask for. People want to help people. They want to help their friends. They want to help their family, and they're going to. And even if you are not from Portland, let's say originally, you still have a network of people. That's what that whole exercise is about.
One of the things that I've been doing is I've been calling up folks that I know and telling them that I'm practicing on my CMAs
Yes.
and my listing presentation, and can I practice on you?
Damn,
Let me know
that's
what you
good.
think.
It is good.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, whatever. And I have had even a couple folks go, my house is worth that much?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's seriously
That's how I
stellar.
started too, and I sent out cards to my whole sphere with a door knob on it that said, "What is your house worth?" and writing with it how much the housing values have increased in Portland in the last year, and did they know that? And can we meet and talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had somebody call me off of it, and I have a potential listing coming. We're working on getting her house ready, and it'll be $600,000 listing. So that more than paid for those postcards and that
100%.
2 hours of time that I spent. And I handwrite all my postcards, no labels, put it in an envelope, handwritten everything, because I just know they'll open it.
Yeah. Good. Congrats. That's awesome. And that is a great idea too, because truly that's, like I said, calling them and saying, hey, can I put a prospecting profile together for you? If
Exactly.
you can get someone that
Great
want to
idea.
go buy a house, and they have a house to sell, now you got 2
I've had a
houses.
couple people say, oh, I'm not looking to sell. Great, I don't even care about that. I need to practice.
And
I'm
it's
trying to
free.
hone
That's
my
what I say.
skill.
It's
Yeah.
complimentary.
Yeah.
And if they are not, in the back of your mind, you don't have to say this to them, but at least you go, well, they might know somebody.
Yeah.
Or you've done a really great job, so their neighbor might be going, I don't know who to call. And it's like, oh my gosh, this friend of mine just came
I
by.
had one person say, yeah, no, and I'm like, well, you're not coming to my
You
house.
had a
What did Kurt Dalby tell you when you first started? Tell
Yeah.
that story.
So Kurt Dalby, Tyler just wanted me to remember a story that I had told him last time. Kurt Dalby, are you guys familiar with Kurt Dalby? Anybody in this room? Okay. Kurt Dalby is the owner of Mission Homes now, and was the owner of Remax Equity Group. Well, Equity Group before they sold the Remax. And he started the business in his 30s and grew it to an $86 million sale to Equity Group.
What's
to
his name?
Remax. Kurt Dalby, and he's a good friend of mine. And when I first got into the business, and this is another thing, if you have resources, a mother-in-law, someone who you believe that was successful or that wouldn't mind letting you pick their brains, that's another good sphere place to start. But when I first got in, I said, Kurt, it's Courtney Clarke. He's like, Courtney, how's it going? He's a really happy guy. He's like, would you mind sitting down with me for just like half an hour? I just got into real estate. And he's like, I would absolutely do that for you. I'd love to. So I just asked him, I was like, okay, tell me what I need to know. What do I need to know? He's like, really, you don't need to know anything. You just need to talk to people. And I said, well, what about buying bus stop ads and all this stuff? You don't need any of that, Court. What you need to do is talk to friends, talk to family. And he is the one who told me, take 5 to 10 business cards to every meeting you go to with your friends. Dinner, lunch, out for drinks, whatever, and ask them, say, hey, I've got a favor. When you go out to your car, will you put my business card in your car? And can you see if you can get rid of these cards for me? I'm just trying to get my name out there. And everybody will say, absolutely. Absolutely. And he's the one who told me to do that. And I did do that in the beginning. And I'm pretty sure, people would be out giving those cards away. I had a girlfriend, Katie Lovato, Katie, I told her, ask her to do that. Well, a couple months later, she called me and said, hey, I'm selling the house. I want you to come sell it for me. And she goes, you know what actually reminded me to call you, even though she knew, is that I gave her this stack of business cards. And so every time she'd get in her car and open up her coin thing, there was my cards and her. And so she's like, so.
That's awesome. Great
So,
idea.
yeah, so I mean, there's all kinds of things, and they're not mind-blowing, and we all kind of know them already, but it's nice to be refreshed on what you should do. So, does anybody have any questions or anything? I mean, I think I can let you guys go a little early, right? Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I was just going to say, oh, shoot, I just want to listen to you talk some more. No.